I can't keep this secret anymore. The room froze. Cameras clicked, reporters leaned forward, and the audience held their breath. Xiao Zhan's voice cracked as he gripped the microphone tighter, his eyes glistening under the bright lights. What he was about to say was something no one in the room expected, something that would leave fans speechless across the world. He paused, swallowed hard, and finally said the words, "Wang Yibo means more to me than anyone will ever understand." Gasps filled the room. Some people clapped in shock, others covered their mouths in disbelief. Was this a confession of friendship? Of gratitude? Or something far deeper? Xiao Zhan looked down, clearly battling with his emotions. Then he continued. From the very beginning, when everyone doubted me, when I felt like the world was against me, he was the one who stood by me. Without him, I wouldn't be standing here today. The hall erupted with whispers. Journalists scrambled to write, cameras zoomed in, and fans watching the live stream were flooding the chat with comments. Nobody expected Xiao Zhan to single out Wang Yibo in such a raw and emotional way. He took a deep breath and went on. There were nights when I wanted to give up, when the pressure became too much, when I wondered if I even deserved to keep going. And every single time, Yibo reminded me of who I am. He reminded me that I'm stronger than the criticism, stronger than the doubts, and stronger than the fear. Tears welled up in Xiao Zhan's eyes. The audience was dead silent now. People see us as actors, as celebrities, as faces on a screen. But what they don't see is the bond we carry behind the scenes, the moments nobody talks about, the encouragement, the loyalty, the way he never let me fall when the world turned its back on me. At this point, the crowd didn't know whether to cheer or cry. The vulnerability in his tone made the entire room feel heavy with emotion. Xiao Zhan raised his head and, with his voice breaking, delivered the line that would dominate headlines. Wang Yibo isn't just a colleague, he isn't just a friend, he is my anchor. And I don't care who knows it anymore. The hall exploded with reactions, some screamed, some applauded, some simply sat in shock. Reporters shouted questions, trying to get clarity. But Xiao Zhan wasn't finished. He held up his hand for silence and continued. I've carried this inside me for years. The truth is, we've been through storms together that no one will ever fully understand. When everything around us tried to tear us apart, he stayed. That kind of loyalty, it's rare. It's priceless. And it deserves to be acknowledged. The audience was moved. Some fans in the front row wiped their tears. Xiao Zhan smiled faintly, though his eyes were red. Maybe some of you won't understand. Maybe some of you will twist my words. But what matters to me is that tonight, the world knows how much Wang Yibo means to me. He's not just a chapter in my life, he's the reason the story even continued. Silence lingered for a moment before the crowd broke into thunderous applause. For Xiao Zhan, this wasn't about shocking headlines. This wasn't about publicity. It was about finally saying out loud what he had been carrying in his heart, gratitude, respect, and a bond so strong it defied explanation. As the cameras continued to flash, Xiao Zhan stepped back from the microphone, his chest rising and falling as if a weight had just been lifted off him. The world would talk. The media would speculate. But one thing was certain, his emotional confession about Wang Yibo had just changed everything. Xiao Zhan stepped back, but the audience didn't let him leave. The applause grew louder, echoing through the hall. People were shouting questions, begging him to explain what he truly meant. He hesitated, then walked back to the microphone with determination in his eyes. You want the truth? He asked firmly. The room went silent again. The truth is, without Wang Yibo, I wouldn't have survived my hardest years. When the world turned cold, when people doubted every step I took, he never left me. He never judged me. He gave me strength when I had none left. Do you understand what that means? The audience erupted again. Some shouted yes, while others sat stunned, clutching their phones to capture every word. Xiao Zhan's voice carried both pain and relief, as though the words had been burning inside him for far too long. People always ask why we work so well together, why there's this energy between us. They think it's just acting, just performance. But it isn't. That connection is real. It was built in silence, built in nights when nobody was watching, built in the kind of trust you can't fake. Gasps echoed through the hall once more. Xiao Zhan's voice cracked, but he pushed forward. Do you know what it feels like to have the whole world doubt you, but one person stand firm? That's Wang Yibo. When I fell, he picked me up. When I broke, he put me back together. And tonight, I want everyone to know, this isn't just friendship. It's a bond carved by fire, a bond that nothing can erase. Fans watching the live stream flooded the chat with words like unbelievable, this changes everything, and we never expected this. Xiao Zhan's hands trembled as he gripped the microphone tighter. I stayed quiet for so long because I was afraid. Afraid of how people would react, afraid of what the world would say about us. But why should I hide gratitude? Why should I hide the truth of how important someone is to me? I won't stay silent anymore. Tears slipped down his face now, but he didn't try to hide them. His vulnerability only deepened the shock spreading through the room. Wang Yibo has been my greatest source of courage. He's the one who reminded me that I'm not fighting alone. And for years, I carried that in silence. Tonight, I give it back to him with these words. Thank you, Yibo. You saved me. The hall was shaking with cheers, claps, and screams. Some fans sobbed openly. Others held their phones high, desperate to record history being made. But Xiao Zhan wasn't done. To everyone listening, I want you to understand something. People see fame, they see glamour, they see red carpets and lights. But behind all that, we are still human. We still need someone to believe in us. And Wang Yibo, he believed in me when it mattered most. That's why I'll never be ashamed to say it, he is the most important person in my life. The words landed like thunder. Nobody moved, nobody blinked. It was as if the entire hall had become suspended in his truth. I don't care how the world interprets my confession. I don't care what rumors may start, what headlines tomorrow will bring. What matters is that I spoke my heart tonight. And my heart says this, I will forever be grateful for Wang Yibo. With that, Xiao Zhan lowered the microphone slowly. His shoulders shook, but his face carried relief, as if a heavy weight had finally been lifted. The crowd was on its feet now, clapping, screaming his name, and chanting Wang Yibo's name alongside it. The emotion in the room was overwhelming, impossible to ignore. Xiao Zhan glanced toward the cameras one last time and gave a small but powerful smile. To the fans watching, to everyone who has supported us, remember this, bonds built on loyalty and trust can never be broken. No matter what happens next, that truth will always remain. And with those final words, he walked away from the stage, leaving behind a storm of emotion, speculation, and one of the most unforgettable confessions the world had ever heard.